A spider sits at the center of the world, weaving a story so clever that even the gods cannot see the trap. That spider has a name. In West Africa, he is called Anansi. He tricks a sky god. He steals all the world's stories and keeps them for himself. He is small. He is hungry. He has no weapons. And yet he wins every single time. Now travel thousands of miles across the ocean. You are in ancient Greece. A baby is born on a mountainside, and within hours he has stolen cattle from a god, invented the lyre from a dead tortoise, and lied to his own father about all of it. His name is Hermes. He is the god of thieves, messengers, and boundaries. He moves between worlds that should never touch. Cross the sea again, you are in Scandinavia. A tall, sharp-faced figure walks among the gods of Asgard. He is Loki. He is not fully one of them. He is not fully anything. He insults the powerful. He engineers disasters. He shapes-shifts into a mare, a salmon, a fly, an old woman. He is the reason the gods have their greatest treasures. He is also the reason they will all die. These three beings were born in cultures that had no contact with one another. No trade routes connected ancient Ghana to ancient Greece to ancient Norway. No missionary carried one story to the other, and yet they all invented the same character. Why? In nearly every mythology on Earth, there is a figure who does not follow the rules. This figure is not the hero. This figure is not the villain. This figure is something far more dangerous, something that makes the entire system of gods and monsters and sacred laws tremble. Anthropologist Paul Radin spent years among the Winnebago people of Wisconsin in the early 20th century. He recorded their Trickster cycle, a long, sprawling, often obscene, and deeply profound oral epic about a being called Wakchankaga. This trickster wanders the earth playing pranks, eating without limit, sleeping with anyone, deceiving everyone, and occasionally getting punished so brutally that even the listener winces. But Radin noticed something that changed the way scholars understood myth. The Winnebago did not treat this story as entertainment. They treated it as sacred. The trickster was not separate from their understanding of the divine. He was essential to it. Radin published his findings in 1956 in a book simply called The Trickster. In it, he argued that the trickster is the oldest mythological figure in human culture, older than the hero, older than the creation god, older than the flood. He believed the trickster represented something humans needed to express before they had the language for it. Carl Jung read Radin's work and was captivated. In 1954, Jung wrote an essay called On the Psychology of the Trickster Figure, in which he argued that the trickster is not just a character in stories. He is a psychological archetype, a piece of the human mind that exists in every person. Jung described the trickster as the embodiment of the unconscious, the part of you that does not care about rules, propriety, or consequence, the part that wants, the part that takes, the part that breaks things just to see what happens. Think about that for a moment. Jung was saying that every civilization on Earth, independently, looked inward and found the same wild, shapeless, boundary-breaking impulse, and gave it a face. But what is the trickster actually doing in these stories? What is his function? Hyde, an American essayist and cultural critic, spent over a decade researching this question. In 1998, he published Trickster Makes This World, a book that traced the trickster figure from ancient Greece through West Africa to Native America. Hyde argued that the trickster is the god of the threshold. He stands at every boundary between life and death, between sacred and profane, between order and chaos, and he crosses it. He does not respect borders. He does not acknowledge that anything is off-limits. And that is exactly why every culture needs him. Because here is what no one tells you about ancient civilizations. They were obsessed with boundaries, the line between the living and the dead, the line between humans and animals, the line between the sacred and the everyday. Every ritual, every taboo, every temple wall was built to maintain those boundaries. Without them, the world made no sense. But boundaries are also prisons. They are rigid. They leave no room for change, for invention, for adaptation. And human beings, even ancient ones, knew this. So they created a character whose entire purpose was to cross the lines they themselves had drawn. Hermes moves between Olympus and the underworld. Anansi bridges the gap between the sky god and the earth creatures. Loki lives among the Aesir but is a giant by blood. Maui in Polynesia is half god, half mortal, and spends his time hauling islands from the ocean floor with a magic fishhook, pulling the sun itself down so his mother can have more daylight. Eshu, the Yoruba trickster of West Africa, walks between humans and the divine, delivering messages, and occasionally changing the message entirely just to see what unfolds. In every case, the trickster does the same three things. He crosses a boundary that was supposed to be uncrossable. He disrupts the established order, and in doing so, he creates something new. Hermes steals Apollo's cattle, but he also invents the lyre, the instrument that will define Greek music and poetry for 1,000 years. Anansi steals the sky god's stories, but by doing so, he gives all stories to humanity. Maui pulls up islands, literally creating the land people live on. Loki's schemes lead to the creation of some of the gods' greatest magical objects, including Thor's hammer, Odin's spear, and the golden hair of Sif. The trickster destroys, and from that destruction something is built. This is not coincidence. This is the human mind recognizing a fundamental truth about how change actually works. Innovation is almost never polite. It is almost never authorized. The person who sees a new possibility must first violate the existing assumption. They must cross the line that everyone else respects. They must be willing to break the rule. Joseph Campbell, the great comparative mythologist, understood this deeply. In his landmark 1949 work, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, Campbell mapped the structure of myths across dozens of cultures. While the hero's journey was his primary focus, Campbell recognized the trickster as a recurring shadow figure, the agent of chaos without whom the hero's quest could never begin. The hero needs a disruption. Something must go wrong. Something must break the comfortable order of the ordinary world, and the trickster is the one who breaks it. Campbell once said that the trickster represents the whole extent of the mind in its wild state. Not civilized mind, not rational mind. Wild mind. The mind before you organized it into something polite and presentable. And that is exactly what connects the spider in Ghana to the baby god in Greece to the shapeshifter in the frozen north. They are all the same impulse, dressed in different clothes, speaking different languages, wearing different faces. But underneath all of it, they are you. They are the part of you that questions authority, the part of you that wonders what would happen if you broke the rule, the part of you that does not want to be contained, categorized, or told where the edges are. Every culture in the world looked at its children and saw that impulse. Every culture saw its elders try to contain it, and every culture told a story about a figure who could not be contained, because deep down they knew that impulse was not a flaw, it was a feature. Modern psychology confirms this. Research into what psychologists call cognitive disinhibition, the ability to ignore conventional boundaries of thought, has found that the most creative individuals in any population score higher on this trait. They allow ideas to cross boundaries that others keep sealed. They are, in a very real sense, tricksters. The trickster did not come from one culture and spread. He arose independently in every culture because he reflects something fundamental about the structure of the human mind. He is not a myth borrowed from someone else. He is a myth generated from within. So the next time you catch yourself questioning something that everyone else seems to accept, a rule that does not make sense, a boundary that feels artificial, a way of doing things that no one can actually explain, recognize what is happening. You are not being difficult. You are not being rebellious. You are the spider at the center of the world, deciding which threads to pull.